Hi, my dog lovers. Hi, this is Dr. Dobias. I'm here today because I have a super interesting interview about rhinos and where they go on holidays or honeymoon. Now, I know that you're curious about what this is all about. We as dog lovers not only love dogs, but we also are learning to be better human beings. So this interview is about the better portion of humanity and what amazing things some people do. And I just wanted you to meet them. And hopefully we'll be able to also pitch in as a community to this particular project. Anyway, have a wonderful time watching this interview, and I will be back sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
We had to somehow get the animals to the zoo back in 60s and 70s. The director, his name was Josef Wagner. He took directorship, I think, in 1965, and his dream was to go to Africa and to see how it works there, and whether there would be a chance to bring animals from Africa to then Czechoslovakia. Just to understand the context, you will, Peter, understand it very well. It was during the communism, so there was an East Bloc that was divided with the Iron Curtain from the West, and actually people that were living in this Eastern Bloc, they were not able to travel around the world. It was difficult for us actually to get even to the Poland, despite the fact that it was a brotherhood country, and we could only dream about going, to the West, to France, and not mentioning even United States or Canada.
Or Africa.
Or Africa. This director, he wrote to every embassy Czechoslovakia had in the 60s in Africa. He got to Africa and he conducted eight big expeditions, and he brought almost 2,000 animals from Africa. It was not just birds or reptiles. These were large ungulates. In the 70s, actually, Dvůr Králové became like a large genetic bank for African hoofstock especially. And he brought a lot of rhinos as well. Those rhinos he brought from Kenya, from area of Tsavo, and he got some, I think, even in Isiolo area, which is in the northern Kenya. So since early 70s, we've been breeding them. We have even the other rhinos in the zoo, but now the main thing that is going to happen actually in a few weeks is that we will transport 5 rhinos from here, from Safari Park Dvůr Králové, to Rwanda. Pojď tady, pojď. Pojď k nám, pojď.
He wants treats.
I think he is not hungry, he just wants treats. Treats. Okay.
By the way, there's a bride for him next door, and she's a little feisty. We couldn't really get close to her because she's a true African rhino. She's not that friendly.
Yeah.
But she's waiting for him. They're going to go to Africa for honeymoon, and when they're released, we hope that they're gonna have babies.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of babies, how many babies have they had so far?
With the black rhino, we have had 46 babies that were born here in our safari park. So I think it's actually the largest number outside of Africa.
Wow.
What we can say is that we have a 5th generation of black rhinos here in the zoo, and we actually sent already 4 black rhinos back to Africa. It was to Tanzania, to Mkomazi National Park, and they have already 3 offspring that were sired by a male from Dvůr Králové Zoo, and a mother was from Dvůr Králové Zoo as well. And there are, I think, 3 more babies that were sired just by the male. So altogether, there is 6 babies that are, let's say, descendants, of the rhinos from Dvůr Králové and back in Africa. So there are mainly 2 species of rhinos in Africa, and actually this is a unique occasion to show what makes a black rhino. It's this lip, this finger on a lip that they use for when they get, acacias. They bite with this. They get acacia leaves, and the others are so this is a black rhino, and a white rhino. It's a wide mouth, so they eat grass. So they are more like, that you see big heads that are just, going on the ground and eating grass. And that's what makes a main difference, when you see them. This is perfect to see. This is a black rhino with its lip.
Yes. So basically, the white rhinos are big lawnmowers, and the black rhinos they're tree munchers. They're like giraffes without the long neck.
Exactly. But back to the program.
Transportation, they're transporting 5 rhinos from the heart of Europe to Africa. It's costing a lot of money. Who is financing it? Like, how do you guys put it all together?
Well, we actually raise money by ourselves, but we have a great patron of the transport. Her name is Veronika Vařeková, and I think that the audience actually in the United States and Canada could know her. She's a supermodel of a Czech origin. She is really helping us with approaching donors and getting the right amount of money. And I have to mention one more person. His name is Mark Pilgrim. He's a coordinator of EEP, it's a short for European Breeding Program of Black Rhinos. And it was his decision to locate and identify the very rhinos that would go to Rwanda. So okay. I would say that in Europe, and regarding organizing the transport from Europe to Africa, these were 3 key people with me, because I'm responsible for organizing the transport. Nice. And then of course there is a manager of Akagera National Park. That's the place in Rwanda where we are going to send the rhinos. His name is Jess Gruner. And only after we visited and when we saw the level of security and level of commitment of management and of staff of the national park Akagera, only then we decided this is the right place where to send our rhinos. Because you have to understand that our keepers, they have a strong bond to the rhinos. If you see them from very young age, you understand that this animal is critically endangered, so that there is not many of them, not even in the zoos, but not even in the wild. Yeah. Then you really have to carefully consider where you send them, or whether even you send them somewhere. So the decision to send them to Rwanda was made only after careful visit to the Akagera National Park.
Do you have all the money for the transportation?
Yeah, that's a thing, because we have to admit that the transport of rhinos back to Africa is very expensive. What we had to do is actually to hire a part charter. So it means that we have a space in the plane where we can place rhinos, but not only rhinos, we have to take even the lucerne. It's a kind of hay that they feed on. Yeah. And we have to bring it there because it's not available in Rwanda. Yeah. So for first weeks and months, before they really acclimatize, we have to supply them with lucerne from here, and even with pellets, with minerals, and with I don't know how to say this in English, but the minerals they need.
Yeah, exactly, minerals. So our community knows a lot about minerals, because we actually talk a lot about minerals, how important they are.
To keep them healthy, even before they change the diet for something what is natural in a place where they will be released. One more thing actually that not all the people would realize, but the crates that they will be transported in are, let's say, custom made for each rhino. So even this is very expensive. One crate is about 5,000 euro, which is even more in a USD. Yeah. And the flight, because we need to fly them from Prague to Kigali. Kigali is a main airport in Rwanda. It's 150,000 USD. So I would say that now we are about the halfway. Just any help is really appreciated.
So I think that most people in our community but around the world understand that rhinos are very special, and that if we don't save them, they're going to be gone forever, and they've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, right? Millions actually. I have to reflect up on my biology.
When you look at them, you see that there is something very prehistoric in their appearance.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is actually that this is actually the largest transport of rhinos from Europe. Yeah. We did some in the past, but not so large like this one. This is one thing. The second thing is that this is not some idea of mavericks. We've done this in past, and we know that our rhinos breed in Africa. So actually what we do here actually is that we help to establish new populations in areas where the rhinos were extirpated from. We get to areas that are now secure for them. Yes. And we went to the places and we see it. Because sometimes people ask, why you send them there? They are poachers. But the truth is that the poachers are even in the zoos. 2 years ago, there was rhino killed in a zoo close to Paris. It was in spring 2017. So we have to admit there is no 100% safe place on earth for rhinos. But maybe I could speak here a little bit more about our other project.
Oh, absolutely. Anything.
Because we actually work on saving a northern white rhino. I believe, that some of your audience heard about the black rhinos, but much more people heard about the northern white rhinos. There are just 2 last females that are left. They now reside in Olpecheta Conservancy in Kenya, but both were born here and they were transported from Dvůr Králové to Kenya, there is still a chance to save them.
How would you do that?
Because with our colleagues, we've been working on a project to. These colleagues are from Berlin, from Cremona, from Japan. So it's really international effort. We are actually trying to open the way through making embryos in vitro. That's the main point.
Yeah.
The way how you get to this point is that you can harvest oocytes from these last two females, and in a lab you fertilize eggs, and fertilize it in laboratory with a semen that we have cryopreserved.
I see. So you preserved sperm from the last male.
From males that deceased already.
What happened to him?
Well, the last male died just because he was too old, and there was just an anonymous decision to euthanize him. It happened last year on the 19th of March.
Must have been devastating for everyone.
It was, especially for the keepers who were in, day-to-day contact.
But it's a big loss for this planet and for humanity.
I would say it's a huge symbolic thing.
Yeah.
Because if you lose the last male northern white rhino, it tells you that this was the animal that for million years roamed Central Africa, the plains there, and suddenly in our age, we lose such a charismatic animals. It's really something what I would say actually signifies our disregard to nature, I would say.
Yeah. Do you think that there is a solution to the whole kind of disaster that is happening in the wild and that we are losing so many species?
I don't know. I believe there is a solution, but I can't tell you what the solution is. I think that there has to be a way how communities will earn from having the animals on their land.
Yeah.
This is definitely the way how to do it. If the communities will see the value, only not financial value in the animals, but also financial value, but even the spiritual and cultural value in the animals, that then they will protect them.
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't, disregard approach of local communities to nature. In many examples, I think it would be much more, let's say, animal friendly than what we do in Europe. For me, I see that there's a huge market with rhino horn in Vietnam. I see there is a huge market in China. When we realize that these countries are, let's say, really strongly led by its leaders, because both of these countries are actually communist countries, so there is rather strict control over what is happening in society, then I think in case they really would like to crush the market, I think they would have means. On the other hand, I do not want that, I think we should not feel like this is something what we should impose on the cultures that see it differently. Even our own culture had to change. For example, with ivory, actually, I think that the US is now still second largest ivory market after China. So it's not only about China.
I had no idea, actually, because most people I know
explore this
against ivory, and I think that there is some sort of disconnect or discrepancy between what the governments are doing and allowing,
and your states,
and what most people want.
Different states in the United States are getting bans on ivory, but still, US I think is the second largest after China. But to finish the idea, I wanted to say is that even our culture had to change in let's say 70s and 80s, and before it was a large market with ivory even in Europe, and we somehow underwent this, let's say, mind change. And I believe, despite that there is a huge tradition of using ivory and rhino horn that lasts for thousands of years in Vietnam or in Eastern cultures in China, I think even there is a chance that this culture approach would be changed.
We just need to talk, we just need to record videos, we just need to kind of show how beautiful and amazing these animals are and how much effort is put in.
I think we should not just talk about it. I think we should support organizations that do something
and donate money
for organizations that it's not only about the transportation, it's about helping the animals in their original habitat. This is a drop that we can do. Because we are very good in breeding of rhinos, what we can do is to help to repopulate areas from which they were extirpated. This is one thing. The other thing is, of course, that we can somehow get involved into awareness campaigns, for sure. Yes. But I would say the first thing would be really try to support organizations that are able to help rhinos in the field and that are able to enforce or help to enforce law in Africa or even in other countries. I wanted to say, that the northern white rhino is actually a symbol of disappearing species, and we might be able to save this one, but it could help us to understand that we actually have to completely change our approach to nature, and not to be responsible for trying, let's say, hundreds of thousands of species to save in the same complicated way as we try with the northern white rhinos, because it wouldn't be possible.
So we need to find, we basically need to, what we did with whales, for example, where we just kind of figured out how to restore them, how to allow them to actually thrive again.
And react promptly to urgent situations.
And create the conditions as opposed to just kind of doing it in a labor-intensive way.
Yeah. Right? But this is, to me, this is a little bit kind of sophisticated discussion. And I think it's nice, if you think on this level, still try to find a project that you can have hands-on with helping conservation.
Get it. So what we're going to do, we're going to definitely provide our community with some other projects and a little description, and definitely donation link for the transportation. And I so appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's been a privilege. I'm really glad that we got together. I know that you're working with my colleague and classmate, Dr. Dobias.
Yeah. He's our director.
Who is the CEO of the whole project, or the whole Safari Park here. And what I'm seeing here is that while he's coming to say hi.
Manipot, put down his show.
Come and see.
Manipot, put.
Everyone needs you need to get your ticket to Africa. So if you can contribute any amount, please. Follow the donation link here on this video, and thank you for watching. I hope that you understand that we can make a huge difference as our community. And one of the reasons why actually I'm here is that I know that we focus on dogs, but dogs and humans get together to become better human beings. I believe that dogs teach us how to be better people, and this is one of the ways for us to be not only strong community supporting nature, but also become better human beings. So thank you so much for watching, and thanks so much for
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you very much for attention, and any help, support is highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Mari. Hello.